Welcome to episode 30. On the show today, I'm joined by Jon Sumroy, CEO and inventor of mifold, the grab-and-go booster seat. Jon saw a gap in the children's market for portable car seats. He set up a crowdfunding campaign wanting 100k and ended up raising 3 million of sales. He talks to me about the pros and cons of being an Amazon vendor, along with exploring worldwide markets and distributors. Please enjoy the episode, and thanks for being a fab listener. Support me by subscribing and telling your friends. Welcome to the Johnny Ross audio experience. I'm Johnny Ross, founder and digital marketing strategist of Fleek Marketing. Each podcast I'll be bringing you an expert to inspire you, to give you some great business growth takeaways, and to get you thinking about marketing and the bigger picture of how businesses can improve, adapt and grow. I look forward to sharing this with you on each podcast, so here we go. Hi, and welcome to another live Q&A. Today, I've got Jon Sumroy with us. He's CEO and inventor of mifold, the grab-and-go booster seat. How are you, Jon?
I'm great, thank you. Thank you for having me on the show.
It's a pleasure. You're joining us live from Israel today.
That's right, yes. You can't see the sun streaming through the window, though, today, because we've got horrendous rain.
Oh no! Well, so have we. That's all we ever have.
Yeah.
It's great for you to be here. Just to remind people that are watching, we are live on Facebook, we're live on LinkedIn, and we're live on YouTube. We're also welcome listeners. So if you're listening to us on the podcast, it's brilliant that you're here. Thanks for being here. Jon, you're from Yorkshire. You're from Leeds originally, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm a Leeds boy. Still more than half of my life.
And you went to uni, was it in Manchester?
That's right, yes.
Yeah. So when did you leave the UK?
I left in 95, so that's 25 years ago. I was working for Unilever in London, and they were setting up an office in Israel, and they asked me to be one of the team that went out and actually established Unilever in Israel all those years ago. I can't quite believe it's 25 years ago.
You played a part in some of the digitalization and digital side of things for Unilever early on, or was it J&J? They part of the same?
No, different companies. So I lived in Leeds until I went to university, studied in Manchester, and then after that, I went down to live in London. I actually studied pharmacy, and I worked as a pharmacist for quite a few years at Boots in London, but I did a career change and started doing marketing for Unilever in the early 90s. And it was even before the internet, I was just very interested in some weird and wonderful digital things. The first time Unilever ever did digital marketing was Lynx deodorant sponsored part of a virtual nightclub, which came on I was going to say DVD, but it was probably a CD, that you put in a computer, and you could play games in different rooms of this virtual nightclub. And Lynx deodorant, that I was the brand manager of, sponsored one of those rooms. It was, quite leading edge at the time.
Wow. And I mean, it's funny you talk about Lynx, because Lynx has become the brand that, at Christmas in the UK, everyone talks about. Have you, getting Lynx for a present? It's just one of those staple presents that people get at Christmas time. It must have been brilliant to have been behind some of that brand.
So I have to say, I was in my early 20s. And this is a brand that's all about young men and sex. So it's you can't really have much more fun than that, when you're going to work every day. When you mention those those Christmas packs, one of my first ever jobs, as kind of a trainee, was to put together those Christmas packs you got with a wash bag and the deodorants and the shower gels and stuff.
That's great. So Just fast forwarding, you you've set up this business. It's mifold. It's around the booster seats. How did that happen? What was the journey into coming up with this idea?
The journey is long and winding. It really came just from my own need. There was 2.5 years in 2000 through to 2002. I was living in the US in just outside Manhattan, working for a high-tech startup that disappeared in the dot-com bubble bursting around that time. But when I was living there, I had 3 little boys. They're now 3 big boys. In fact, one of them's married and about to have his own little boy, which is some wonderful news. But those 3 little boys were all, yeah, thank you. It's really very exciting news that I've just now put public to the whole world. Now that I realise it's not just you and I chatting here. These 3 little boys were always in other people's cars. So we always had car seats in our cars, but when they call it in America carpooling. It's the school run, all the neighbors, take the kids together to school. There was never enough booster seats in the back of the minivans for all the kids that we were taking. Or my parents, who still live in Leeds, they'd come and visit and they'd have a hire car and we'd have to juggle these booster seats from car to car. And I just thought, could there be something that's really small and compact and portable that the kids could keep in their school bag, so that if they ever got in somebody else's car, they could be protected? And nothing existed, but I had an idea of how you could do this, how you could restrain a child in a car differently. But life got busy, so I didn't actually do anything with that idea until about a decade later. And what started as a hobby of me thinking, maybe there's a way of doing this today. So what is it, 20 odd years later from having the idea, we're a global business. We've sold, the picture that you can see behind me is 2 of our car seats in the glove compartment of a car. And we've sold more than 1 million of those around the world. It's really quite, I'm an accidental entrepreneur because I spent most of my career in big companies. But when I started playing with this idea as a hobby, it took off.
I mean, for people that are listening and can't see, it's exactly that. There's 2 sitting in a glove box, so they're very compact, very small, but they obviously do the job as well. I guess there's no question about that, seeing that you sold over 1 million of them. What was the process of creating a product? How did you find that with regard to coming up with the idea, but then actually having to find the resource to get someone to make it and test it? And in fact, the testing, I assume, must have been a big hurdle as well.
So we're talking about child passenger safety, and for good reason. It's highly regulated. So, all products have to comply with standards, and there are a few different standards around the world. And that was one of the major hurdles from, the idea stage to where we are now. It started very gradually. I mentioned a moment ago that it started as a hobby, and it really was that. I'd had this idea that if for all the parents out there who have had children in booster seats, it's really quite simple. That if you put a child in a car and fasten an adult seatbelt, it just doesn't fit. It's designed for an adult, and children are too small. So the lap belt that's supposed to be on the bones of the hips is always high up on the stomach, and the chest strap that is supposed to be nicely on the clavicle between the neck and the shoulder, it tends to rub the kid on the neck or the face, and they'll put that seatbelt behind the back. All of those things can actually cause really bad injuries in a crash. And a regular booster seat is a box. It lifts the child up. By lifting them up, you put the child into the position of the adult, so that when you fasten the seatbelt, it fits. Very simple. The problem is these things are big and bulky, and to make something compact and portable, what I thought was, could you do it the other way around? So instead of lifting the child up to meet the seatbelt, could you hold the seatbelt down to fit the child? And my idea was, could you have a flat mat with some little belt guides either side of the child's hips, so that when you fasten the belt, it'll hold the seatbelt snugly across the top of the thighs against the pelvis? And could you have another clip? I know some people can't see, but, like pulling the seatbelt down onto the shoulder instead of it being up here. And the very start was I made a homemade prototype on a sewing machine. It was a black canvas mat. I sewed on some mountain climbing clips and a little tail that had the shoulder clip on. And I mean, it looked ridiculous, but the process was I took it to the crash test centre in the UK. It's called TRL, the Transport Research Laboratory down south. And I mean, they were laughing at me, thinking, who's this idiot with a black folding floppy thing that, I was asking to put on a crash test rig, but I had paid my money. So they did the test, and to everyone's surprise, it really worked. I mean, now I know a lot more, but it restrained the child in exactly the same way as a big bulky booster seat. And that was the beginning of the journey to realize there was some potential in here. And over a year or so, I raised some money, which allowed me to quit my job and to pay designers and mechanical engineers and material scientists and regulatory affairs advisors to help bring it to market.
You've got a team around you now that my understanding is a lot of them are from Yorkshire and Lancashire, but some of them are based in Israel, Toronto, all over. But you've sort of used that UK talent.
Yes, I think because this didn't really start off as an idea to build a business, it was just something I was playing with. I just asked the people I knew, if they could help me. So I went to Leeds Grammar School, and one of my friends from Leeds Grammar School was a boy called Robert Morris. He lives in Toronto now. His parents still live in Leeds, and he was an accountant and had been CFO in companies. He helped me put together the first business model behind this idea of a folding car seat. And then a few years later, when we actually were a company and I could afford it, I recruited him, and he's been my partner in this venture since the very beginning, which has been wonderful. But the way I have built the company really has been, we're asking people who I know and I'm friendly with, to come and join me. Some people wonder for me whether, there's a risk of working with people that you're friendly with, but it's worked really well for me. So our financial controller is from Manchester. She's married to a Leeds boy, and that's how I know her. They live here in Israel, and the chief marketing officer of the company was somebody that I did a gap year between school and university in Israel, and I met him on the program there, and he's been, head of marketing in, companies all around the world. And I like the fact that the people I'm working with, are very much part of my network, and we get on well together. And our office manager is married to another guy that I've known for many years, and she brought in a friend of hers who's now our brand manager that she had lived with. They'd lived in Shanghai for a while, and so it's very incestuous. Everybody kind of brings in the people that they know, but as a team we work really well together. And I get to do these fun things like talking to you, and they're all busy doing the actual work in the background.
Well, you said it yourself. I mean, if the team's working well, then great. So what? How it was formed. I'm interested in the marketing side. That's my background. Was there an instrumental thing that happened, or what was the thing that really that you can now look back and say, this is what got this product going? These are the things that we did. These are the these are the things that happened that really took us to the tipping point of actually we've got some real sales here. What would you say those things are?
Timing has been very beneficial for us. We're very lucky. If I had tried to do this 20 years ago, I don't think it would have been possible, because almost everything, to answer the question you've just asked, has been digital. We're a digital first company in terms of marketing. We do very little traditional old-fashioned marketing. and opportunities like we launched the original mifold seat that you can see behind me on an Indiegogo crowdfunding campaign. So that gave us the opportunity of broadcasting an idea to people even before we'd finished designing and developing and regulating the product. We'd said, look, here's a really cool idea. If you want it to happen, help us by contributing and pre-ordering. We had the most successful crowdfunding campaign ever for a juvenile product. When we launched it, which was the middle of 2015, we had expected to pre-sell around, I always talk in dollars because we're a very US focused business, so around $100,000 of pre-sales is what we had set as our target. But by the time the dust settled, we'd pre-sold nearly $3 million. So wow. it put us on a trajectory that actually took it from being, you know, a nice little idea into a real business. And how did we manage it? Well, we did marketing campaigns about the crowdfunding campaign using Google AdWords and Facebook. Interestingly, it was only as Instagram was starting. Now we do, you know, a lot of our marketing is on Instagram, and we could do mail shots using email. And a combination of all of these digital marketing tools allowed us to create a lot of buzz around mifold before the campaign went live. So the day that it went live, which I will never forget, 14th of July 2015, it just went mad. That target that we'd set ourselves of doing $100,000 over a couple of months, we did it in a couple of hours. And as I said, it just went on. And again, you could never do that in the old days when all of your marketing was, you know, television where the budgets were too high, or magazines where the distribution was, you know, much more limited and expensive. But because the crowdfunding campaign was so successful, people who we weren't targeting heard about it, and we had people approaching us saying, we'd like to be the distributor of your product in our country. And other people came and said, we love what you're doing, you know, can we invest? And so the digital and the digital marketing, which is how we've continued to do almost all of our marketing, really is the way that we created the brand and spread the word internationally.
It might be an obvious answer, but just to reaffirm it, really, if you did it again, I assume you'd go down the crowdfunding route again then?
So we did, actually. That's exactly what we did. At the beginning of last year, we launched our second major product. There are, you know, some people, especially in Europe, that don't like backless car seats. I won't get into the politics of it. Scientifically, there's almost nothing to substantiate that mindset, but some big competitors of ours have spent decades trying to persuade people that backless is bad. It's not the case, but what we have done is we've brought out a high back booster seat. So this is one that's got a headrest and side rests. It also folds incredibly small and compact and portable. So if anyone wants to go to our website, mifold.com, and check out Highfold, that's our high back booster. We launched that at the beginning of last year. Unfortunate timing with Corona, but we did a crowdfunding campaign for that 6 months earlier. We, you know, and had great results. And we're working on some new products now that we expect to use with the crowdfunding campaign. And it's not because we're looking to raise money. I know people think crowdfunding, you must be doing that as a way of getting money for the business, but actually we use it as a marketing channel. We do it as a way of getting some publicity. When people pre-order, then you know how many to manufacture on your first production run. So there's a few benefits of it, and we love crowdfunding, and we love Indiegogo. If you're watching us, Indiegogo, they've been incredibly supportive and helpful with our campaigns to make them a success.
Yeah, it does sound like that with the way you've described it with regard to it being a marketing channel, and I can see how you can get that huge reach and buzz, and I love the idea that, as you said, it actually helps you understand the pre-order and how many you need to manufacture. Yeah. It's very clever. With regard to your sales channels now, where are your main channels. You also talked about distribution, wholesale. Is that become a bigger channel? What's the sort of the spread, and I'm interested in the digital channels and which ones are the ones that work for you.
So in general, we divide the world up into the US and the rest of the world. The US is our main market. First of all, it's the biggest market for car seats, and it's the one where we put as a company most of our focus. And in the US, our biggest customer is Amazon.com. So that's all online and digital. We do have our own website, mifold.com, where we sell, but it just turns out that even if we compete with Amazon, if we sell at the same price as Amazon and we offer 2-day free delivery, which is what Prime is in the US, I know in the UK it tends to be 1 day, people still prefer to buy on Amazon. So that's our biggest customer. We also, though, are in brick and mortar. We're in about 1,000 Walmart stores, which is, good old fashioned retail and a great retail partner to have. But the majority of our business is sold online. About 70% is sold either on Amazon.com or mifold.com or Walmart.com or Target.com or Bye Bye Baby, Nordstrom, etc. So our products are slightly different to traditional booster seats, and so it's a little bit more complicated to explain. Bless you. It's a little bit more complicated to explain just by looking at it on the shelf how it works. And when we sell online, we can do a very rich communication with the user. We can show lots of photos, lots of videos that you just can't really do at the point of sale in a store. In the rest of the world, we have distributors. So these are companies that not only sell our products, they sell other products. And we have less involvement in the day-to-day sales and marketing. Although what we do is we have a rich database of materials that these distributors can use, so they can see the materials we've created and they can localize them or customize them for their market. And it's interesting because in this network, there's about 35 of them covering 50 countries. They share with us what works best in their market. And so we learn from them and they learn from us, and we share all that knowledge. Again, everything's digital. We keep a database of materials in Dropbox, and everybody can access it, and we can share information really quickly, which when I think back to my early 90s, in my 20s at Unilever, there wasn't even email. Things were much more difficult. So digital has helped us create the product, launch it, and sell it globally in a really short space of time that a few years ago just wasn't possible.
Is there a pressure from the likes of Walmart for you to really drive sales and drive people into store to pick that purchase, or I'm just wondering how those retailers work, and whether there's just a lot of pressure also put on you to deliver results for them?
It's absolutely that way. I mean, they are incredibly powerful. So, and especially because the majority of their business is still physical retail, they've got limited shelf space. It took us a long time to get into Walmart in particular. We got into Amazon a lot more quickly because ultimately Amazon is infinite in size. So when Amazon approached us after the crowdfunding campaign, and once we had launched, and they really pushed us to start selling our products there. And I'll come back to Walmart in a second. Part of the challenge there is, putting it on the shelf is one thing, but getting people to know that it's on Amazon is really our job. So a lot of our marketing is focused on not just making people aware that we exist and what the benefits of our products are, but really driving people to our retail partners, so that they are looking for us and find us. Just by making people aware, through general advertising, people can go onto Amazon and type what the kind of things they type in: a portable car seat, or narrow car seat, or travel car seat, or car seat that's good for grandparents, because grandparents like not
Okay.
throttling up the backseat of the car. And it's our job, to kind of make those people aware that we exist so that they'll go and look for it. But once they've typed it in, then we have to pay Amazon to feature high in those search results by doing sponsored ads. So one of the things, particularly with Amazon, and I know you asked about Walmart, one of the things with Amazon is that we invest a significant proportion of our marketing budgets in Amazon, but that's because they are the biggest and the conversion is among the most successful we have. But we also do very similar things with Walmart, firstly because we want to support them. They've given us the space on their shelves and access to their customers on walmart.com. So we also push people either digitally to their website, or we do really cool things. So we actually do some geo-targeted advertising. If somebody happens to be within a 1 mile radius of one of the Walmart stores that we are in, and they are doing a relevant search, then we will come up with links to that Walmart store, which is very much kind of a combination of, the wizardry of new online digital marketing and physical space of old-fashioned brick and mortar retail. So we work very well in partnership with all of those retail customers.
Yeah, I'm glad you were talking about Amazon, because I wanted to talk about them next anyway. I was wondering if you had to, if a lot of your marketing spend would go with Amazon sponsored results. You've said that's the case. Does what I've found with Amazon with certain products is that it really can end up driving the price down. But I guess as the manufacturer of the product, you're setting the price in the first place anyway, and there's no one else selling your product on Amazon, if that makes sense. So I guess what I'm trying to say is Amazon take a big cut. Does that cause you a problem because you can set the price in the first place anyway?
So on Amazon in the US, we don't set the price. Amazon works in two different ways. You can be a seller, which is really what you're describing. Amazon basically allow you to open your own store on their platform, bring your own customers in, and sell your own products at your own price, and then deal with all the supply chain and logistics. They also have a model called vendor, which is much more closely related to a traditional retailer. And that way they buy products off you, keep it in their warehouse themselves, and set the pricing. So we are vendors in America on Amazon.com. There are some wonderful benefits of being a vendor. First of all, Amazon buys large quantities. We get an order every Monday. You can imagine we're all sitting waiting to see what it is. And as long as we deliver it to their distribution centers by the Thursday of the same week, then we get paid 30 days later, irrespective of how quickly the stock is selling out on the other side. And that really helps with cash flow. I mean, we are still a small startup in the whole scheme of car seat companies. So anything that helps us with cash flow, we love. But what we give up with that model, being a vendor, is that Amazon hold the right to set the pricing. And one of the good things normally is that Amazon absolutely respects minimum pricing policies. We can't define the pricing of our products. It's up to the retailers to set them themselves. But it's in everybody's interest not to get into these downward negative spirals of price cutting. One of the things Amazon does is they constantly monitor the rest of the market. They do it automatically. And if we suddenly see that our mifold seat is being sold on Amazon at a discount, we know that it's because they've found somebody online selling it at a lower price than they are, and they will automatically match that price and then charge us. So we spend quite a lot of our time, trying to maintain, the correct pricing. I'm just very concerned now that there might be something illegal in what I've just said. We don't fix pricing, but we do reserve the right to only supply people that aren't trying to reduce value in the market.
No, I think all you were saying, my understanding is all you were saying is that you're not able to stipulate a minimum price, but you
Yeah.
what you try and do is guide people to say, look, this is the minimum price we expect, and we hope you keep above that if you can. That's what I heard.
Yes, it's in everybody's interest, because ultimately, if it's not profitable for us to sell our products, first of all, it means we can't do the marketing because you don't have the money in order to drive people to those retail partners. And ultimately, although we love what we're doing and we're out here saving lives, we are a business, and we want to be profitable, and we want to grow the business, and we have shareholders who are looking, for a return. So, it all comes down to pricing.
So based on all of that,
Mhm.
how easy is it to put your prices up to Amazon? As in the cost price? Is that, does, as a vendor, is that
It's
a difficult
literally,
conversation? Is that how does that work?
so with Amazon, there are no conversations. Although you can be a much larger business than we are and actually have a real human being to talk to, Amazon is a web interface. So to actually increase the price is simple. We can go online into the interface and just put a new buying price in. Obviously, their algorithms will decide whether or not they are interested, and invariably, we aren't looking to increase our prices. We've worked out the right price point for the product that balances between making consumers excited to fork out their money to buy it, on the low end, and covering the profitability that we're looking for on the high end. The way we do manage pricing is that we now have a range of products. So what you can see behind me is the original mifold seat that we launched in 2016, but now the range has got 4 different products in it. We have, let me go from the top down. We have a premium one called mifold Sport, which is a luxurious version. It's based on artisanal craftsmanship of the motor racing industry, which I love. It's the dad's favorite, because only a dad would spend 25% more for exactly the same thing just because it looks sporty, but there's a market for that. We recently introduced an all new and improved version of the original mifold seat, which is at our standard price point. The one you can see behind us, the original one, we've put at a lower price point, and then we have a new entry level product that doesn't actually fold, but it still is the same concept. It's flat. So we've got 4 price points, and what we find is that by giving people a choice of getting the mifold experience at different price points means that we get less into this whole issue of discounting and things like that. And so when we do promote, we try and do added value promotion. So if someone's prepared to buy 2 or 3, we'll give them bigger discounts. Or if someone wants to do a bundle and get a product and a carry bag to go with it, then we can create promotional opportunities like that.
But you've also got to take into account the marketing spend as well, because what you're saying is that on Amazon you've then got the power to do sponsored ads to basically help Amazon sell more product, which ultimately means Amazon buying more from you. Yeah.
Yes, the whole ecosystem works. I don't want to sound too much like an Amazon fanboy, but they've
I love Amazon.
I love it as a consumer. They've really created an ecosystem of opportunities. Very simple things like searching for compact and portable booster seat, and we can pay for the privilege, or we can bid to feature more higher up the search results. But they also have other campaigns. They have a program called DSP. I don't remember what it stands for, but for example, they will advertise. Amazon will advertise on other platforms. You could be on the Daily Mail website or the Times, and you can see an Amazon ad, but they will feature our products. And so we collaborate on that and obviously contribute to the cost of that. But that's a good way of getting new people in, because Amazon's such a trusted brand. Something we did at the end of last year for the first time ever is Amazon has, they call it an OTT television advertising program. So with more and more people switching to streaming, and I don't actually know how common or popular it is in the UK, but Amazon's Fire streaming devices in the US are huge. There's tens of millions of people that are now getting all of their television content over their devices, and many of them are doing it for free because they're prepared to have ad content in that in that television content, which is just like good old-fashioned ITV and Channel 4, of years gone by, which was the only way you could see the content if you were prepared to pause every now and then and watch advertising. And you can't skip the advertising. So everything about it is about traditional TV advertising, except they have digitized it. So you and I can be watching the same program at the same time, which again never happens, because who watches TV on a schedule these days? But you can be watching the same program at the same time, but when it comes to the ad break, we'll see two completely different adverts. So we can go to Amazon and say, look, we're looking to target parents or other caregivers of children, over the age of 4, who have been in market for a booster seat and are planning on going on vacation in the next 6 months, all of which would narrow it down to people that we know are likely to be target market for us, and we can show them a TV ad. And it's so much more cost effective, because instead of broadcasting the same message to millions of people where only a small percentage of them are relevant, we can cherry pick and only broadcast that ad to a small number of people that meet our criteria. But it's a full screen, rich television experience of emotional video advertising. So we did that. And one of the downsides is you can't, unlike traditional digital advertising, is that a strange thing to say? Traditional digital advertising, where you can track the entire process from the message that people saw to where they go to how they interact and if they buy, and you can see the efficacy of the money that you're spending on the marketing. Television advertising is all about awareness. So although we are broadcasting it, we don't know if those people then go and purchase. But I saw the results last week, actually, of the campaign we did in the second half of December, and the sales of Highfold, the seat that we were advertising, had a lovely growth during and after the campaign. So I don't remember how we got onto that. I think I was talking about the breadth of opportunities Amazon give us to do marketing. So although they are a retailer, and they give us the opportunity of selling our products, they're also giving us opportunities of very effective marketing tools. So we're happy to invest our money in Amazon in their marketing.
I want to expand on that in a second, but I also wanted to go back a step, because you were talking about selling on Amazon as a seller and being as a vendor on Amazon. So just for my own benefit and for people that are listening and watching, the in between is fulfilled by Amazon. Is that right? So you'd still be a seller, but fulfilled by Amazon is where you send the products to them, they ship them, they do the logistics, but they've not bought the product as such. You're just using their storage.
It's exactly that. Amazon can offer you as a seller a full third-party logistics opportunity of warehousing and pick and pack and shipment and everything, and yet you're still a seller. People can go on to Amazon and they can choose a product and they can pay and get all the Prime benefits, and not know that actually it is a seller doing fulfilled by Amazon or a seller doing their own logistics. But the way we work with them is obviously we agree the margin with them that they take, but that margin includes everything they do and they deal with it.
And that makes sense. So I guess if you're a manufacturer of a product, you really want to be in the vendor side of things, because that's where the opportunity opens much more. But as a seller, I would highly recommend Fulfilled by Amazon, because what you tend to find is products sell more, they get featured more, they've got the Prime badge, etc., etc. Were you going to disagree with me then, John?
Well, so when we started, vendor was the obvious way to go. The main benefit being Amazon buys large quantities of product and pays very regularly. But there are some negatives to it. We are now, for the first time, starting to deal with some markets ourselves outside of the US with Amazon. So we just set up on Amazon in Spain, where we haven't had our products available in Spain, and we've just, as of yesterday, actually, set up Amazon in Japan for mifold, our second seat, and there we're doing it as sellers. So we're doing fulfilled by Amazon as sellers, so it's very much an Amazon experience. But we are more interested in the extra control and flexibility we have by being the seller rather than a vendor.
Interesting.
I think we aren't opposed even to transitioning in the US, but the model works so well, and it's the engine of our revenue and our growth. If it's not broke, don't fix it. But as we roll out internationally, we're very much looking to do a seller model in the rest of the world.
We've talked a lot about the US and globally. We haven't talked about the UK. What's the deal with Amazon UK?
We have a wonderful distributor based in London, a company called White Step. They have other juvenile products, which was the reason why they were a good partner for us to work with. They sell directly from their own site. They sell on amazon.co.uk. Our products are available in John Lewis, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, Argos as well. Or if it's not yet in Argos, then I've just leaked some other confidential information. Yeah, you know, I love the UK. I spent half my life there, and most of my family still live there. But for us, as a business, it's a small market. And when we were small and setting up, we had to prioritize and put our efforts and focus on big markets. And now we have these wonderful partners that it's just very good leaving our business with them.
Yeah, that makes sense. The so just going back to the marketing spend, you were talking about the opportunities with Amazon, OTT, etc. Am I right to then assume that the majority of your marketing spend is focused on driving traffic to Amazon?
When we look at the entire line on our P&L that is marketing, it covers quite a lot of things. If we do, we have shelf displays with video monitors in those Walmart stores. So that's quite a significant marketing expense that we're investing in Walmart. We do a lot of Facebook and Instagram marketing, and we change where, you know, anybody clicking would be sent between our own website and Amazon or those other retailers. So I think Amazon probably gets the larger proportion of, you know, of any other retailer, just because our sales through Amazon are larger than through the other retailers. But it's not an all or nothing. You know, we do try and be as broad as possible. And we do a lot more investing in things like online influencers, traditional PR, which we invested quite a lot of money in PR in the early years. We don't do that as much now, because the best way to get into the hearts and minds of our target market is often through the influencers that they follow and respect. And you know, simply by sending people products for them to test and use with their children, we've got some amazing coverage, because, you know, once people know about our product, they tend to love it. We really answer an unmet need of what do you do when you're in somebody else's car with a child. And so we found that, you know, investing time and effort and some money, it's not particularly expensive, in influencer marketing has been effective for us. I also think, and this is quite relevant to the UK, very relevant in the US, and not relevant at all in Israel. That's I always have to remember. There is an absolute transition going on in personal transportation. It used to be that everybody bought their own car and used it and sold it, or, you know, or upgraded. more and more, and especially millennials, are choosing not to own cars and just use cars, and the right car for what they're looking for. So car ownership in the US has declined every year, as a percentage of households has declined every year for the last few years in the US, because people are choosing to just do Uber or just do Lyft or just do Zipcar, which is a car sharing program. And there are apps like Turo, which is basically Airbnb for cars. You know, I was out in LA, not last summer, the one before, and we wanted a Tesla SX, the one with the X-wing, anyway, for a photo shoot. And we just went on the Turo app, and some guy brought his car around, and we had it for the day, and he got paid, over the app. If you don't own your car, where do you leave your car seats? What do you do when you get where you're going? If you've Ubered to the cinema or to a bowling alley or to a football match, what do you do with the car seat? Well, what parents do is they don't. They cut corners. They take a risk. They hope their kid will be okay. And so, although when I came up with the idea for mifold, it was all about the school run and grandparents and going on holiday, all of that's still relevant. But actually, what we're finding is there is a mass of parents who don't own cars, and therefore they want something that's easy to carry with them from car to car, and not something that they have to leave in the car. So we're finding that that's another marketing message to talk about. So we don't just talk about going on holidays anymore, which was a big part of what we did before Corona, because no one's going on holidays now. But we definitely target and market to people that are that don't own cars, and I think that trend is going to increase, especially in the coming years, when there's going to be these fleets of autonomous vehicles just roaming around, and people just jump in and out. You still have to protect children in those cars, and that's going to need to be with compact, portable, quick and easy to use child restraints. That's what we're all about.
Yeah, I can totally see that market, and I agree. If you look at Generation Z, how they how they use things, and it's totally as you described. So I think you've hit the nail on the head there. And whilst you were talking, I can sort of envisage how public transport could be another area of market growth as safety increases on public transport. Not that again, Corona is sort of reducing that at the moment, but fingers crossed we're not going to be here forever in the Corona pandemic, and so I can see how that could be an avenue as well. So yeah, that's good.
So it's the regulations around public transport are quite different to cars. But just as an example, in Southeast Asia, particularly in Singapore, school buses tend to be they're not big buses. They tend to be minibuses or mid-sized buses, and there's a seatbelt on every seat. And the children going to school on buses have to use a booster seat. Again, you can't carry around big bulky booster seats. Singapore, I think it's only got a population of 2 million people, and it's tiny, has been one of our most successful markets. First of all, because there's this need to for children on school buses to use car seats, but also it's one of the few countries in the world where the law is that children riding in taxis also need to use an appropriate car seat or child restraint. There is a company in Singapore called Grab. They are Uber's biggest competitor in the world today. Just in Singapore, they've bought 40,000 mifold seats, so that every one of their cars has got a mifold seat. And when a parent calls one of the cars on the app, they know that they're going to be able to get in, and they've got a booster seat. In fact, they're asking us to develop an infant seat, one of those for children aged 0 to 4, with a 5-point harness that's also compact and portable enough, so that if they do have it in every one of their cars, it won't take up all the cabin space or all the baggage space. So watch this space. Maybe in the next year or so, we could have a new product coming out along those lines.
I love it. When we were talking about marketing spend, one of the things that I assume is you also must support your distributors with some marketing spend as well. So whilst I was talking about Amazon, I was talking about, yes, the majority is going to Amazon, and you said that that's because of your sales, but it goes without saying that I'm sure you must support all different areas of the business, especially distributors as well.
We have a couple of, the first one is distributors buy our product at a price, and that price takes into account the fact that they do everything. They literally pick the product up at the factory gate. So they have to do the international shipment and the import and the logistics and the warehousing and the sales and the marketing and the after sales service and customer support and things like that. And so the price they pay reflects that they're taking on all of those tasks. And one of them is we expect them to do sales and marketing, but we do have programs. We like to brand things within the business. So we have the My Grow program, MI Grow, as in mifold, My Grow, which is that, the distributors that work closely with us and work with us on developing their marketing plans and setting targets. We have, as part of that My Grow plan, we contribute to their marketing costs. As long as it's against an agreed marketing plan and they make their investments. And that's something that we introduced, a couple of years into the business once we, wanted to start focusing internationally. And it's something that's more important for us, that we've got distributors that will work closely with us like that on best practice and working out, the best way to spend the money. And those that do, we're happy to contribute, over and above the margin they get into their marketing programs. And the results absolutely have led to a growth of the business. So it all comes back eventually.
Yeah, and I can see how valuable those strong relationships must be. So it makes perfect sense. This has been really interesting. We've come to the end of our time, Jon, but very fascinating. I love the story, and for me, the highlights have been around how crowdfunding was your marketing. That was what made it happen. In terms of reach and size and speed, I guess, and as you say, seeing all those sales just come in on one day, unbelievable. So, Jon, just to be clear, if we are well, two things. First of all, if we're interested in buying a car seat, where should we go?
Well, so in the UK, I think the easiest is to go to amazon.co.uk. and search for mifold, MIFOLD, or basically search for anything that resembles a mifold. As I say, compact car seat, we come up well, narrow car seat, 3 in a row car seats, because you can easily put 3 on the back seats of even the smallest cars. Or just Google, mifold, and you'll find the other places and the other retail partners that are selling.
Where do you hang out, if at all, on any social media platforms? Which is the platform you're typically on?
Yeah, so I'm mostly on Facebook. I don't really do Instagram other than just to check up on what my kids are doing, and I don't really tweet. But the majority of what I post on Facebook seems to be business related. But if people want, to follow us as a business, then mifold is on Twitter and very active on Instagram and on Facebook.
Brilliant.
Those are the places to find us.
Lovely. Jon, thank you so much for your time today. It's been brilliant having you. And it's been fascinating. Thanks for joining us, and we look forward to welcoming you again at another live Q&A in the future. That's bye-bye from us. Bye-bye, Jon. See you soon. Take care, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
You've been listening to the Johnny Ross audio experience. Thanks so much for joining me. If you want to continue the conversation, head over to my website, fleek.marketing, or find me on LinkedIn. That's all for today. Please subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts, tag me in your social media posts, and please leave me a review on iTunes. It will make a huge difference for me. I will see you soon.